Are those cases going to be combined, or are they going to be done separately?
Well, they are two separate cases, but they're going to be handled at the same hearing.
Okay.
Okay. So you can talk to your lawyer, but they are two separate cases, which means that you'd have two separate proceedings going forward if it goes to trial.
Okay.
Now, for what's tipping the scales, jurors could be getting used to that voice of the future as cult mom Vallow Daybell's back in the headlines. Two big developments in her Arizona case. One of those developments leaves her pending conspiracy trial in jeopardy without a final date. So the judge has granted her motion for a competency evaluation. So we don't know when this thing is going to go. We know this trial is about her former husband, Charles Vallow, though. We know that he is the victim on this homicide case. And there's an attempted homicide as well of her former nephew, Brandon Boudreaux. Thank goodness he survived. And there's more. So the Doomsday Cult Mom's also looking to be without counsel. She wants to represent herself. So the court is going to wait and see what happens at that competency evaluation to then make a decision on the request to go pro se. Oh, so how could these recent developments tip the scales? And what does that trial look like? Let's bring in retired criminal defense attorney Kirk Nervy and talk about it. Kirk practiced in Arizona for many, many years. Cult Mom, Kirk, where do we start? Let's start first with her wanting to go pro se. Your thoughts on that?
It doesn't surprise me at all. You know, earlier when we were talking about Sarah Boone, we talked about image, right? And image is going to be important to the female narcissistic defendant like Lori Vallow seems to be. And we also think about her legal situation, right? She's already been convicted. She's spending life in prison based on the convictions of Idaho. And we know that whenever she has a chance to speak, it's about her image. It's about propping up her cult-like beliefs, right? So to me, I think she's probably having some conflict with her attorney. I know her former attorney is a good, competent attorney. He's probably telling her some of the things she wants to talk about aren't relevant, and she was going to try to use this trial as a forum to put forward her beliefs.
I think you're absolutely right, Kirk. The competency is then this other issue, right? So now it's being called into question. She's going to be evaluated. Would you speak to what's going to happen in this process, the type of evaluation, the standard, kind of what we can expect as the, it seems that the docket is noting the judge saying they call it the Rule 11 process in Arizona.
Yeah, very familiar with that process, Julie. One of the first things that happens is there is what they call a pre-screen evaluation, meaning two doctors will take a look at Miss Vallow, take a look at her records, but it's only a couple pages. It's not very in-depth. And if they agree that further evaluation is needed, and that's probably what happened in this case given the extensive records, then they refer it to a full evaluation. That's where the doctors take a more in-depth look at Miss Vallow's mental health, her history, medications, all those sort of things. They do an interview with her. They may even do an MMPI. They may do different things on her to decide whether or not she is competent or not. And then that full evaluation goes before a particularized court to decide whether she's competent to stand trial. One of the things I think is important is we're not talking about insanity here, just so people don't get confused. We're not talking about insanity as a defense, what have you. We're talking about just the competency to stand trial.
Right. Kirk, really appreciate that. Yeah, the here and now inquiry, you know, today, is she competent to stand trial? Where, thank you for making that distinction. People get that confused all the time with insanity, where we look backwards at the offense date. Tell me, Kirk, so noted in the court docket is that the withdrawal of that attorney you noted who serves at the public defender's office, and the court notes that what's going to happen now is she'll get counsel appointed through the Office of Public Defense Services. Is this kind of like a conflict counsel office in Arizona, if you're aware? Is it one of those offices that will take cases if the PD's office is conflicted out?
It is, Julie. So there's Maricopa County, a huge court system. There's 3 indigent defense services with attorneys working. And then what happens if there's a conflict? And one of the things about a conflict that people should also understand is that if the one member of the public defender's office has a conflict, the entire public defender's office has a conflict. So they go outside of these indigent representation, and they have people that work under contract on an hourly basis with the county that will be assigned the case.
Which is great. Yeah, I remember, in law school, learning about conflicts. It's fascinating, as you noted, what you can do, your partner can do. What you can't do, your partner can't do. And just like in the offices that serve the public, yeah, that conflict bleeds through to everybody. So that's hard when, when there's so much service going on and so many people are being legally served by a particular office. And sometimes vetting them takes a long time to make sure that there is no conflict that exists. Kirk, tell me, when we think about Cult Mom and what she's doing, do you think this is for show? Do you think some of this is just to kind of go against the grain, so to speak?
Well, no, I think it goes back to what I said earlier. It's all about image, the presentation, right? Where Sarah Boone's not going to take a plea and accept guilt. Lori Vallow is going to use this trial as her platform, Julie. That's her goal.
Yeah. She's already infamous, as we know. Maybe she'll make friends with Jodi Arias out in Arizona. Who knows? As long as they stay away from you, Kirk Nerving.
Who was that, Julie? I never heard of her.
Never heard of her. Yeah. Who are we talking about there?